All right, hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about why just because they say it doesn't make it true, and why this is so important of a concept for us in the spirituality, self-help, personal growth worlds to really take on and to really use our discernment when we are interacting with anyone and anything who's on the internet or even in real life who claims to have either like the answer to all of our problems or the answer, like the very perfect answer to even one of our problems. Because again, we are currently living in a world and living in an age where, because of how technology works and because of how social media works, we have the capacity to create a forced perspective that can make it look like literally anything is true. Okay? And when we become aware of that, when we become aware of the capacity that people have to make things look a certain way that they actually aren't, and when we become aware of the fact that people are doing this in spaces and places and in ways that we really want to believe that what they're saying is true and what they're experiencing is real and that the results that they're getting are perfect and as awesome as they say that they are, when we start to become aware of this, we will start to see just how prevalent it is that we are being sold these ideas and these tools and these fixes and these solutions that don't actually work, that don't actually produce the results that people are saying that they're producing. But we can really see how easy it is to make it look like the results are happening and like everything is exactly as these people are saying. And the second part of this is when, like what I said, when we notice that people are able to do this in areas where we really want to believe what they are saying is true, in areas where we are vulnerable to overriding even our own logic and our own reasoning skills and our own critical thinking, we will start to be aware of why the self-help industry, the spirituality industry, the personal growth industry is so incredibly lucrative right now. Why pretty much anyone with a camera can position themselves as an expert and make it really look like what they are saying is true. And then the second part of that being that anyone can position themselves as an expert and then make it look and make it sound like if you don't get the results that they are promising you're supposed to get with their product or their service or their coaching or their whatever it is, that it's because you didn't do it enough, you failed, you're not good enough, you're not doing it enough, instead of being able to say, okay, the thing just didn't work the way they said it was going to. And to be fair, right, there definitely are things out there like what I offer, like the mystery school, where I am trying to make it very, very clear that, you know, the self-love path isn't for everybody. It's not for everything. It's not going to be the one and only answer that you will ever need in your life. And I also am trying to make it very clear that the self-love path is difficult and that it's slow, that we don't get results like overnight from doing these practices, that it's not radical transformation in 30 days, it's radical transformation in like 3 years, right? And so, like I say, to be fair, there are things out there that take time, and sometimes the reason it's not working the way we want it to work is because we have an unreasonable expectation of how it's supposed to work, or we have this idea in our mind of how quickly it's supposed to work when that's not reality. And so, like I say, hopefully people who are selling things are being honest with the amount of effort and the amount of time that need to be put in to be able to see results. So that's okay. But more often than not, in the spirituality, self-help, personal growth world, we are sold things on the basis that they are like universal cures, like that they are going to work for everybody, that they're going to work for everything, that they are the one answer to the problem that they're saying that they're going to solve. And the second thing that is really big is that so much of what we're sold is sold as being something that's going to work quickly, something that's going to be like really transformational, really powerful in 30 days or 60 days. And it's supposed to be this thing that like dramatically changes your life in a very short period of time. And we need to understand that when we are in pain, or when we are struggling with something, or when we have a goal or a desire or something we want to create or achieve in our lives, the very first vulnerability that we are all coming into the self-help, personal growth, spirituality space with is that vulnerability. We want to believe that something is going to be the perfect solution and that it's going to work quickly if we just do it perfectly. Okay? So that narrative that this thing that I'm selling is the perfect solution, it will work for you, and it's going to work quickly if you do it perfectly, yeah, is something we are all very vulnerable to believing, because we want to believe that, because we want that to be true. We don't want it to be true that what we're going to have to do is a bunch of discipline, or that it's going to be a long journey, or that it's going to be multiple steps and multiple things we have to do. We don't really like the idea that we are going to have to figure other things out along the path. We don't like the idea that we're going to have to try it and see if it works for us, and then if it doesn't, we have to give up and then find something else, or find what worked about it and keep that, but then keep looking. Like, we don't really want to think that any of that stuff is true. So when someone tells us, don't worry, you're not going to have to do any of that, I have the solution for you to your pain point that is going to work quickly, and it's going to be the perfect thing because it works every time, no matter what, if you do it right, right? We are all vulnerable to that messaging. So that's, I guess, my first message number one, is anytime you're interacting with spirituality, self-help, personal growth materials, I want to encourage you to be very, very mindful of where you might be overriding your logic and overriding your critical thinking skills that you have, because you are awesome, and I know that you are intelligent, and I know that you have the ability to critically think, and I know that you are able to catch yourself and look at your own patterns. That we are walking into the space of self-help, personal growth, and spirituality with a sober understanding of what it is that we really want to hear, that makes it so that we don't vet and look into and critically think about what we're being sold by people. Okay? So like, if you take nothing else from this video, I hope that you take this. Anytime you interact with spirituality, self-help, personal growth materials, anytime someone is telling you, this thing that I'm offering is like the secret, I've discovered some sort of secret that no one else knows, or it's some sort of perfect cure that anyone can use, and it's gonna work every time if you do it perfectly, and if you do it perfectly, it will work quickly. It will be a week or 30 days or 2 months, and your whole life is gonna be different. We need to take a step back and say, okay, that's really playing into my vulnerabilities. That's playing into what I want to believe transformation is like. And it might be setting me up to invest in something that isn't actually what it's saying it is. That it's not even possible that what they're saying is true, or even if it's possible to get those results for those 30 or 60 days, would it be possible for me to maintain the discipline, the actions, all the things that I have to do in order to get those results for the rest of my life? so that I can maintain those results? Like, is that actually possible? We need to walk in with it saying, okay, sober look. Are they telling me it's the perfect cure for everything? And are they telling me it's going to work fast? Because if they're telling me either of those two things, I need to go in there with a huge amount of guard up and being really careful, because those two things are playing into my human nature vulnerability of I want something that is a sure answer, and that all I have to know is that if I do it right, it's going to work quickly. Yes? Because that all plays into our childhood trauma, he says, this is so true, this type of propaganda made me so insecure and feel like a failure. Yes, okay, so that is what I'm going to talk about next, is the idea that then they take that marketing and they take those ideas, and when their product doesn't work, when you don't get the results you're supposed to get, even if you try and do it perfectly, they blame you. And then it makes you a repeat customer. And this is actually part of what keeps the spirituality, self-help, personal growth grift going, when so much of it fails. So much of it is not helpful. So much of it does not actually work. And instead of these people being seen for like selling something that doesn't work, selling a bad product, being bad coaches, whatever it is, we're all manipulated into thinking, no, I need to spend even more money on this person. I need to invest even more into this coaching. I need to go deeper, because the reason it didn't work was because of me. It's not because the product sucked. It's not because they're lying. It's not because any of these things. It's because I didn't do it good enough. Right? That it's so messed up, and that's why I wanted to talk about this today. So again, just before we go any deeper into this, I just want to mention that if you are sick of this, if you're done with the self-help, personal growth, improvement path, but you're still looking for something to help you get on the self-love path, to help you understand your patterns, to help you understand your emotions, to help you understand how to problem solve in this life, how to critically think, how to, just to slowly change your patterns over time, that's what the Mystery School is for. I really developed it as the antidote to the self-help, personal growth, spirituality world that is telling you that I can sell you a perfect quick fix that works every time. Because I believe, again, that these foundational tools of self-love that I teach in the school are things that we have to do long term, right? It's not a quick fix. It will not change your life in 30 days. It will change your life in 3 years, like how long the program is. But to truly learn these skills of learning to be on our own side and learning how to see where we have made ourselves the enemy because we've been taught to make ourselves the enemy, and how to undo that so that we can learn who we really are and what we really are and what we really need, and to just like totally shift this I'm in pain because there's something wrong and broken about me to I'm in pain because I have needs that are not being met and I need to figure out what those are so that I can meet them. That is what the school is for. So I highly recommend you join. We had our monthly meeting just a few days ago, and it was really nice. Like it's designed to be a safe place for you to actually explore yourself and to figure out what you need and what you want and what works for you and what doesn't, in a way where you're finally not being told that your pain is your fault, because it isn't. And that doesn't mean that you don't have power, because we all have power. It's about figuring out who we really are and what we really need, instead of trying to fix ourselves and to try to fit ourselves into something that is never going to work for us. That's what the school is for. So definitely check it out. It's in my link tree. It's in my link in the Instagram box. I'd love to have you. You can join anytime. We meet every month. It's just like a really nice supportive community to get out of this trying to fix yourself thing and into discovering yourself and problem solving so that you can build a life that actually works for you. Okay, So what I see is that, like you say, the products and tools that work within a certain complex context, which is not the way, but more like a step towards the way, these tools are not a solution. Exactly, right? Like that's what the self-love path is. It's giving you these tools of self-awareness and self-support that are then your foundations for how you move forward in the world. It's not like, come to the course and I will teach you exactly how to set boundaries with your mother-in-law, right? Like you will figure out what feels good for you, what doesn't feel good for you, what your needs are, what part of the relationship dynamic isn't working through doing the tools. So then you are the one that figures out how to set the boundaries. Because that's the other thing, especially about personal growth, self-help, and personal spirituality, is that so much of it is so individual. That to sell that we have the solution for everyone doesn't make sense, because we are all living in a complex, unique situation where we can't be told this is the blueprint for how we do it. Rather, the school is about learning how to figure it out. The school is about learning the tools for how to figure it out, so that you can figure out how to set the boundaries. You can figure out what kind of work works for you and what kind of work doesn't, so that you can figure out what kind of way of supporting your body works for you and doesn't. You will learn to read the messages of your body, of your emotions, and your past and your history and all these things that you went through, so that you can figure out your life map. That's what this is about. And it is my belief, again, that that is what coaches and personal growth and self-help should be about. Is you learning about yourself, you getting tools and skills for figuring out how to figure out life, rather than someone telling you that they're going to give you the answer, because there isn't an answer for a lot of these things that works for everyone all the time. We can, what you are going to have to do with your relationship, there are themes and there are definitely things that we teach generally, but how it's going to look specifically for you, you are the only one that can figure that out. But I can give you tools for how to figure that out. So that's what the school is all about. That's what this is all about. So segueing back into the grifting world, right? The grifting world in the spirituality, self-help, personal growth movement is, again, all about trying to tell you that there is a one solution to multiple complex system-based problems, right? So in the health world alone, if we just look at wellness, we can see there are so many things out there that are marketed as this is going to cure what ails you. Yeah, if you just drink this magical vegetable juice, specifically how I write about it in my book, it'll cure your diabetes, it'll cure your anxiety, it'll cure your gout, it'll cure your broken left pinky toe, it'll cure your relationship with your mother, it'll cure your hair loss, because this is the one thing that you need to do, and it will cure everything. And then the way that it's marketed is you have to do it this very specific way, which for most people is pretty unpleasant. It not good. It doesn't taste good. It's not. So there's this sense of, well, I'll talk about the whole psychology breakdown of it in a second. So there, you have to do it in this very specific way. And it has to be done in this very specific way because it's a trademark thing, and it's making sure that we're doing it exactly the way that the teacher said to do it, so that any results that we get, we have to contribute to the teacher, we have to contribute to the method, because we did it perfect. And it also gives us something to make us feel like, okay, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. These are the boundaries. If I just do this perfect thing, this perfect way, I'm going to get these perfect results. And then we're hearing all these testimonials of people who are saying, right, I cured this thing, I cured this thing, I cured this thing, because I did this protocol, this magical vegetable juice, perfectly, with no additives and no ice and no water and nothing else, and it just That is what I did. And then, again, when we're seeing that people are not able to stick to this forever, even if it gives them some results for a little while, it's such a discipline and it's so specific that you're gonna get bored and you're gonna fall off track. Or it just doesn't work. It just does not work as advertised. It makes you feel worse. It does not cure your thing. Whatever it is. The way that is always spun, and this is how it is with coaching, especially anything that's mindset based, anything that's a little bit more esoteric, they're always going to be able to say, you didn't do it right. You didn't do it long enough. You didn't have the right mindset. You didn't have the right setup. And the reason it didn't work is because you did it wrong. Okay, and like I said, the vegetable juice thing is one example, but this is even more in, especially like I say, the coaching world and the personal growth, self-help mindset stuff. Like when you're trying to work on being happier or being more successful or whatever it is, and the metrics for success are a little bit more fluid in like how you feel, or maybe like the amount of money you're making or how many clients you have or whatever. But it's like the thing that's being sold is not as granular as like you don't have diabetes anymore. Your blood sugar, your insulin levels have come down to normal levels, and we can just say like this was before, this was after. But when it's like, do you feel better? Are you feeling more empowered? Are you feeling more feminine? Are you feeling more successful? Are you feeling more whatever it is? So much of the time, again, the tools being offered, the disciplines, either just don't work. They're not actually addressing your issue. They're not actually getting at why you are the way you are, why you're suffering the way that you're suffering, or whatever. Or they are not tailored to you. The protocol and the suggestions are not working for you because it's too hard to maintain. It's not something that you can actually stick to. It's not something you have the time freedom to do, the money freedom to do, the whatever it is. The message is always going to be then, if you're not getting results, it's because you're not doing it right. I gave you the protocol. I gave you the perfect protocol. I promised you that if you did it, it would work. And sometimes I even believe that there is an element of the protocol being so difficult to follow, or so requiring so much discipline to stick with, that it's like built in there that you're gonna fail, that you're not gonna be able to do it, that you're not gonna be able to sustain your results, even if you can do it for a little while. Because then again, when the product fails, when you don't get the results that you're supposed to get, you then internalize that as being something you did wrong. You failed. You didn't do the protocol enough. You were too weak. You weren't disciplined enough. And that really, really works for the person who's selling you this thing. Because if we understand how capitalism works, you can't just have one product. You can't just have one service. You can't just have one thing that you say is the be-all, end-all answer that you then sell over and over and over and over again, generally speaking. It's really, really, really difficult to make a lot of money, which is what most spiritual, personal growth, self-help people kind of want to do, by having a single thing. Okay? So understanding that in our kind of toxic capitalism, the things that sell, again, are the things where we're being promised that it's a perfect solution that's going to work every time and it's going to work fast. So the initial sell is always going to be, this is the thing. This is the thing, the one thing you're ever going to need. It's going to fix your problem. It's going to fix all of your problems. If you just do this one thing, it's going to be the perfect thing. That's the initial sell. But then, in order for them to stay in business, in order for the person who's selling this to you to stay in business, like I said, it's very difficult to have one product and then just keep selling that one product over and over again. At some point, you're going to have to come up with something new, with something shiny, with something different, because multiple reasons. Number one, people get bored, and we will forget about you as a seller, as an influencer, as a whatever, if your one message is the same thing over and over and over again. Generally speaking, it's very difficult to keep reaching a new audience when you keep selling the same thing over and over again. So like I say, in capitalism, and especially the way that social media is kind of like melting our brains in a lot of ways, where we have such limited attention spans, and again, we are addicted to change. We're addicted to trends. We're addicted to everything changing all the time. Because that's how capitalism keeps itself going, right? Like the fashion industry keeps itself going by the fact that you can't wear last micro season's thing this season and still be in style. So the clothes are still good, the clothes still function, the clothes you could still wear for the next 4 years, 5 years, and they're fine. Like I've had this sweater since 2018. But they don't want you to do that, because then that cuts into profits. It's the same thing in self-help, spirituality, personal growth. If they can't keep coming to you with a new thing, it's going to cut into their profits. So how is it that they can sell you that they're selling you the perfect thing, making you trust them, making you believe that they have the perfect answer, and then later have some new thing to sell you when the old thing didn't work, or even kind of only partially worked? How do they keep you as a repeat customer if you were to actually sell them the actual solution? Well, they do it by saying, it's not my credibility that you should be questioning. When my product doesn't work for you, when you don't get the results that I said you were going to get, don't question me. Don't question the program. Don't question the coaching. Don't question the protocol. Question yourself. You did it wrong. You failed. But don't worry. Don't worry about that, because you can just reinvest in more coaching. You can buy the next book. You can buy the next thing. Yeah? So, and I've talked about this before too, that like a lot of spirituality, self-help, personal growth people will come to you with their vulnerable share. Because again, a lot of the credentials that people have for why they're selling what they're selling is their own personal experience. So they have to come to you with the, I was just like you, I was in pain just like you're in pain, I was dealing with the problem that you're dealing with, and I found this perfect solution. So I get you to relate to me, I write my copy and I talk the talk of like connecting with you on an emotional level, on the pain that you're in, connecting to the pain point that you have right now, and I get you in that vulnerability of your pain point, and that you can relate to me and I can relate to you, and you feel like you can trust me because I'm talking and it's like you're experiencing what I was experiencing. And then I'm going to sell you the perfect solution, because that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that there's a one way and someone has already figured it out, so you don't have to figure it out, and it's going to work for everyone, and if you just do it, here's what it is. So buy my book, buy my coaching, buy my program, here's what it is. It's going to work for everyone who feels this way. And then, again, a lot of the time, the psychology behind that is that when we first start doing anything new, especially if we've invested money, our minds are going to look really, really hard for any results that we get, right? Our minds are going to be so deeply focused on if there's any possible thing that we can say that this worked and it gave me results. Because we want to believe it's going to work. We want to get out of our pain. We want to move towards our goals. We want to feel like this person who told us they have the solution really does, and we could trust them, and that we don't have to figure it out for ourselves because we found it now and we're going to be okay. And even just the fact that we're doing something new, we have to understand that that works for our psychology, that the need for novelty oftentimes can be a placebo effect, that just because we're doing something new, it makes us feel like we're having success even if we aren't. Okay, so that's part of the vulnerability we need to be able to witness in ourselves. We are going to be extra vulnerable to seeing any kind of change that we want to see, even if it's just like I'm reading the book and I feel better because I'm reading their story and it makes me feel kind of validated. We can misinterpret that as like, okay, this is working. This thing is working. When I used to work very much in nutrition, watching people do like crash diets and lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds in 2 weeks and be like, see, the diet works, but then they can't stick with it. Or even if they do stick with it, the weight comes back because it was a crash diet, and then the body is going to readjust and it's gonna regain the weight. Like all of these things that make it so that what I would say is that the diet didn't work. Because if your goal is sustained weight loss in a way that you are not having to put forth massive amounts of effort and willpower every day to sustain that loss, just think about that, right? Because if something is truly successful, it should become your new way of life. Because willpower is always going to wane. We are never going to get to a point where we have unlimited willpower. What's going to happen is that the new thing that we took on becomes our new habit. It becomes a new normal. It becomes a new way of being. And that's when we know it's really worked, because it's our new normal. We're not putting in so much effort anymore, right? Like I have a yoga practice that I've been doing since I was 14, but specifically like a daily practice since I was 20 something. And to a degree, I'm using discipline to get on my mat every day. But now it's so much a part of my life that it would feel weird and it would feel wrong not to do that. You see? And that is part of why it has transformed my life so much. It's because it became a way of life. And so it has shifted form and it has shifted shape over the years. But I'm not using a whole bunch of discipline to get myself onto the mat every day. Because if I was, I wouldn't be able to do it. It is my new normal. And that is what makes something, we can say it worked. It became our new normal. So, because again, anything that we do to get results, we have to then keep doing. You can't do a short-term diet and then go back to eating how you were eating before and expect to get the results of the diet eating how you were eating before. The diet only works if it becomes your new normal. The healing protocol only works if, like, the spiritual practice, the self-help practice or whatever, generally speaking, becomes your new way of life. Like, this is my new way of relating to myself. This is my new way of communicating. This is my new way of being with my emotions. This is my new way of working, or whatever it is. It becomes my new normal. That's when we know that it's worked. So a lot of the time, what we're being sold is things that we can't make our new normal. It's too hard, it's too difficult, it's too vague, it's too expensive, it's too whatever. And so it's gonna fail because we're not gonna be able to stick with it. And this, again, just as a little tangent, is what I believe makes a successful coach or a successful protocol, is that we say, okay, these are the results you want. These are probably the steps we're going to take to get to those results. How do we moderate those steps to meet you where you are right now so that you can build towards this new lifestyle that's going to support the outcome that you want over time. You need to be met where you are and to be given just enough of a discipline or just enough of a tool or just enough of a challenge that you can do it, and then it becomes your new normal, and then you add something else onto it, right? Like, this is why my mystery school is like 1,000,000 lectures, because it's so much about just building on these little principles over time until they become your new normal. And that is what actually changes our lives, is new normal practiced over time, over and over and over again. But again, the spirituality, self-help, personal growth person cannot sell you that. They have to sell you the thing that's going to work perfectly. But they also need you to be a return customer. So how do they get you to be a return customer? They convince you that they had the answer and they were right. And again, like I said, because you got a little bit of those results in the beginning, because there was that 15-pound weight loss in the first 2 weeks, or because you sort of felt better while you were reading the book, or just because you did something new and therefore it made you feel different. You think it worked. The protocol worked, the thing they're selling worked, the thing they're saying worked, and the only reason I'm not still getting results or getting better results or whatever is because I failed. I fell off. I didn't do it right. Something was wrong with me that it didn't work. And therefore, when this person comes out with the next book or the next program or the up level or the, right, you just need to invest in more coaching, you just need to go deeper with me, we are prone to believe it because we think we got results when we first started. We think, yeah, no, it is possible that there is a one answer. And I really want it to be that there is a one answer. And I want it to be that this person who told me their story of perfection and made it look like, because social media makes forced perspective really easy, they made it look like they really did transform their lives. They look happy now, they're rich now, they're whatever. And they're saying it was because of this. So I want to believe them because I want that to be true because they're giving me an answer. And then we buy their next thing and we do their next coaching and we do their next thing. And so much of the time, again, what actually gave them the transformation that they're saying they have was a whole complex mess of things that maybe don't even apply to you at all, right? It could have something to do with the fact that they are able-bodied and you are not. It could be that they had privileges you don't have. It could be that they had opportunities that you don't have. There could have been so many factors that went into them getting the results that they're getting, that they're not sharing with you and that you're not trained to look for. Yeah? And they're just saying, I got these results and I got it because of this one thing. So buy my book, buy my program, and you can have them too. And then if you don't get results, you fell off the discipline, you didn't do it right, whatever. Instead of, maybe you don't have the same conditions as me, maybe you don't have the same foundations as I do, maybe there were all these other factors that are at play that I'm not even being aware of or I'm not saying, yeah? And then even more to that is then we almost always see that these people on some level admit that their thing didn't even work for them, that they're now struggling again, that they're now in pain again or whatever, and they use that as the new sales tactic for the next product. And instead of us going, wait, you said the last thing fixed this for you forever, and now you're saying you're struggling with it again. Why should I believe you that this new thing is the solution when you said the other thing was the solution? We're like, yeah, okay, because I'm still struggling. I'm still in pain. So I want to believe that they're telling me this time this thing is going to be the perfect thing. Yeah? And then we are repeat customers. And again, this is playing into our childhood wounds. This is playing into our childhood programming that says, in that temporary codependent relationship we have with our caregivers, our perspective was 100%. If I'm not getting the pleasure I'm wanting, if I'm not being saved, if I'm not being understood, if I'm not getting what I want, if I'm in pain, it is because I am doing something wrong, and therefore my caregiver is not giving me what I want and what I need. We believed that our caregivers were perfectly able to provide everything for us because that's how it looked to us as children. And therefore, our interpretation was the only reason we might not be getting what we want and what we need is because we are doing something wrong. We are failing. And then that idea of shame and guilt and you are failing and there's something wrong with you if you are not happy, especially in the Western world, is how everything is sold. Our ultra individualist society that tells us it's not the systems, right? It's not the working conditions. It's not the fact that corporations are literally robbing their employees blind and then charging huge prices for products and services and hoarding all the money for themselves. It's not that they're being subsidized by the government. It's not any of these things. It's that if I don't have the life I want, it's because I'm lazy or I'm broken or I'm not working hard enough, because success and health and wealth is available to everyone. The American dream, if you just work hard enough, right? We are sold that. And I truly believe that that is because we believe it, because that is, again, playing into our childhood programming vulnerability, where we believed everything was because of us and we could have perfection if we just played the game right. If we just lived up to the expectation of our caregivers, we would have everything. And the only reason we don't is because we're failing. And then everything is sold to us again on the idea of trend, and it's what's going to make you popular now, and it's going to work now, and it's all about now. And there's no acknowledgement of the fact that most of the time, success comes from discipline over time, and transformation over time, and changing things over time, and slow progress. And there's no mind to systems. There's no mind to complexity. There's no mind to the issues that you're facing, especially the chronic ones, not being something that is just there's one cause and one solution. That's again why the mystery school is so nuanced and complex, because when we're dealing with how do I figure out a way of life that works for me, there isn't an answer for that. There's not a meditation. There's not a healing retreat. And we all really want to believe that there is, right? In the spirituality, self-help, personal growth world, we want to believe that we can do a healing session and it can clear all of our trauma. We want to believe that we can do a plant medicine ceremony and see what we're supposed to be doing with our lives, and then we live our purpose for the rest of our lives. But it's not real. It's never going to be real because we are too complex. There's too many factors. There's so much going on in our emotions. There's so much going on in our bodies. There's so much going on in our programming that to even say that there could be a single solution to these complex issues, again, I hope that you walk away from this video understanding that that is always going to be a lie. If anyone is ever telling you, I can help you find your purpose, and you will know what it is, and then you will live it because of this one thing, you need to run away. Or at least go in saying, okay, I will take what this has to give, but I'm not going to expect it to be everything, because that is not possible. These are complex issues that are going to be multifaceted and multi-layered. And that's the first thing. And then the second thing is really understanding that transformation happens because of stacking habits over time. Learning new ways of interacting with ourselves and interacting with the world over time that become our new normal, that we then stack a new habit onto. And then that becomes our new normal. And then we stack a new habit. And then that becomes our new normal. And then we stack a habit. And like for me, right, this journey of self-awareness that I've been on, that I honestly believe I was trying to start to sort through my childhood trauma as a child. Like I knew I was being traumatized way before it was even a thing. But it's taken me years and years and years to get to some of the revelations that I've had about myself that have been helpful for me to change the way that I do things. But like I don't have like a transformation story of like I did this one thing and it changed my life forever. It was like I got on the self-love path, but then all of the different tools and all of the different practices and all of the different ways that this has manifested itself in my life, there isn't a one thing, and there wasn't a one moment where I can say like, and now I love myself, or and now my life is totally different. Like it is. My life is totally different now than it was 10 years ago. It's totally different now than it was 5 years ago. But I'm doing a lot of the same practices, like I said today, right? Like I'm still just doing yoga. But that practice has given me so much because I just kept doing it over and over and over again. Every single day I meditate on my feelings. And I get good at questioning my feelings and questioning my thoughts. So I developed that skill. And I still just use that skill on a daily basis. And it gives me awareness and it gives me the capacity to make changes. Working with my nervous system is something I do every single day. I have a nervous system protocol that I do every day. And because I do it every day, it leads to a little bit of being able to change and a little bit of a higher capacity and a little bit, but it's like there wasn't a point where I could just face a thing because I did a thing. It was like so much habit over time that because these things are my normal, this is what I do with my day. As in, these are the practices I have in a day that work for me and work for my schedule. I have been able to figure all these things out. And so my goal is to give people in these free videos in my mystery school or whatever, base tools to try. And then I give you lots of different variations and how to adjust it so that it can become your new normal from wherever you are right now. And then maybe you build on it over time, right? Because some people don't have an hour or 90 minutes to spend doing asana. So what if you just have 5 minutes to connect with your breath and to say, what if not everything is my fault? And that might be where someone is on the self-love path for 3 years. That's their practice. It's 5 minutes of connecting with their breath and whatever. But how much you're going to get out of that because you did it every day and it was something you could maintain, it became your new normal, that is why it's going to change your life. Okay? So this is why I'm saying, just because people can make it look like they are having a transformation, and just because people are saying like, I'm having a transformation, this healed my whole life. Like I've seen so many people, especially in the health world over the last decade that I've been, kind of in this space, saying like, I healed this thing that I was struggling with. And it was because of this extreme diet protocol. And then 6 months later, 9 months later, they're coming out and they're like, yeah, no, I still have it. And they do it over and over and over again. And yet everyone still believes them when they say, just do this extreme diet protocol with me and it'll heal your thing. Even though it's like, you're not healed. You keep saying that you're healed and you're not. And we don't go, okay, no, they're lying. Every time they come up with the new extreme diet protocol, we jump on it because we want to believe it. And they said it healed me and we believe them. And so much of the time it's just not even true. We're not vetting. We're not, and then again, we're not thinking like, could I do that forever? Is that extreme diet protocol like actually sustainable and maintainable? Because even if it heals you, if you can't do it for the rest of your life, your symptoms are going to come back. Okay, so I noticed that doing the self-love path created resistance against whatever is molding me away from my authentic path. Yeah, by authentic, I don't mean that I'm one way, but a fluid moment-to-moment way. And that's exactly what I hope happens. I love that. That the more we do this path of self-love, the more we start to witness where we're being manipulated. The more we start to understand where people are tapping into our pain points, where they're saying, you need to be like this, you need to do that, success comes because you are this way or because you do this thing, and you are in pain because you suck. We will start to become aware of that. And then slowly over time, we start to become able to resist that. And slowly over time, we start to be able to go a different way. And that's the real gift of the self-love path, is that you eventually get to a place where you're brave enough to start to act on the awarenesses you're getting from your self-love practices about who you are and what you want and what actually works for you. And this is why in the Mystery School, the whole first section of the second curriculum is about shame and guilt. Because shame and guilt is how we are sold everything these days. We are shamed and we are guilted into feeling like our pain is our fault, into feeling like if we are not living these perfect, transcended, successful, wealthy, with a significant other, perfect lives, it's because we are shameful and we are guilty and we are doing something wrong. And so much of the time that is not the case. Well, every time. Shame and guilt, I believe, is always wrong. Even if there is something we can do about our circumstances, even if there are things that we are doing that are causing ourselves pain, it is never because we are bad or wrong or broken or weak, or it's always because we are adapting in some way. It's always because we're doing the best we know to do based on the traumas we've been through, based on the patterns we were handed, based on the systems we're existing in. There's a complexity there. And transformation happens through self-support. What do I need in order to be able to change my habits? How do I support my body? How do I support my nervous system? How do I get therapy sometimes? How do I, so that I can start to create new patterns, even within systems that are set up to be antagonistic, because they are. Our systems are quite antagonistic to any of us having authenticity, right? The people who succeed in our systems are the ones that fit themselves in to the system as much as possible. The ones who are able to produce and consume at the rates that our corporate structures need us to produce and consume at so they can have exponential profits. Those are the people who succeed in our system. And a lot of the time, those people were born into a situation of privilege and access, and they just kind of had to go with it. And they have to be exploitative, and they may see themselves as victims when in a lot of the time they are perpetrating a shitty system. And so when we start to get on this path of like, what if I stop blaming myself for everything? What if I stop seeing myself as the problem? As like, because I'm fundamentally sinful and broken, right? What religion tells us. That we are fundamentally broken. Western religion, not Eastern religion. There are lots of religions that don't tell us that we're fundamentally broken. But just any idea that tells you that you're there's something fundamentally wrong with you, and that is why you are in the pain that you're in. We want to believe that. We have to understand that we want to believe that. Because again, if that's true, that means we have perfect control. I can just fix myself, and then I will be able to have everything that I want. And again, that's childhood programming. Childhood programming said, if I just fix my behavior, caregivers are going to give me everything I want and everything I need. The solution to all of my pain is to fix myself. And then capitalism says, yes, that's right. But a lot of the time, that's not what it actually is. A lot of the time, it's, where am I not getting my needs met? Where is my expression being withheld? Where am I being antagonized? Where does the system just not work for me and I need to do something different? It's far more complex. So again, just because people can make it look like they're having some sort of transcended experience doesn't mean that they are. Just because someone can say, if you do this thing perfectly, it will change your life in 30 days, in 60 days, it probably won't. And especially, and I just want to say this because I feel like it needs to be said, in the manifesting abundance world, in the business coaching world, when people are telling you that you can become fabulously wealthy, have 5K, 10K, $1 million years through energetic practices or through shifting your polarity or this next masterclass or this next thing and then they're selling you that it's an energetic thing, please just be aware that anyone who's saying, I can teach you how to be rich And the reason that they are rich is because they started teaching that they could be rich. Don't follow them. That's not why they're rich. As in, they are rich because they are teaching that they can teach you how to be rich. That's how they got rich. They don't actually know how to market a business or to strategize or to tap into anything that is actually practical for a real business. Like if you have an actual product or an actual service, or you're just a person who wants to manifest abundance, they cannot teach you that. They are only where they are because they are selling a dream that everyone wants to believe is true. And again, a lot of the time, this is true with spirituality and self-help personal growth people. They are happy now, and they are abundant now, and they are whatever now, because they have this successful business where everyone is telling them, yes, your energetic thing is changing my life, and your blah, 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 blah is changing my life. And that's why they now have money, and they now have security, and they now get to live awesome lives because they're telling people what they want to hear, and then they're getting good feedback from that. And then the people who are following them are feeling like they're getting attention from the person, they're feeling like they're special and they found the thing, and it's not actually working to change their lives either. But they found a sense of community and they found a sense of whatever, and that makes them feel like it's doing something. Unless someone is coming to you and saying, okay, I have tools that will be a part of your path, and you are going to have to work them and work them and work them until they become your new normal, and then you will build on them over years. And there's going to be challenges that come up in between there where you go to other experts, and it's not going to be only my thing that is this thing for you. And I am offering you, again, tools of support for your path so that you can figure out that you're not broken, and then you can figure out what you need. If they're not selling you that, you need to go in with caution. You need to be very aware of where we want to believe that a perfect solution exists, that someone else already has it all figured out for us, and if we just do it perfect, we will get the results. And we need to be aware of forced perspective. We need to be aware of people being really excited to give a testimony because they want to be special to the person who's sharing the thing, because we're all so desperate for community. That's another huge part of this. That the parasocial relationship that we feel like when we are doing a protocol perfectly, it feels like we're being approved of by the person who gave it to us, even if we don't interact with them at all. It gives us this feeling of, I'm doing it right, I'm good. And that makes us feel better. And we have to be aware of that, right? There's so much that goes into this that we have to be on guard for. We have to be aware of the forced perspective. We don't know how much money is in their bank account. We don't actually know what their health is like. They're saying these things. And again, try their protocol. See if it works for you. That's fine. But if it doesn't, don't gaslight yourself that they got results, so therefore if you didn't, you must have done it wrong. It could just be that maybe they got results and it just doesn't work for you. It could be that you're not getting results and neither are they, but they're lying about it. We have to be aware of these things. You can try things, you can do things, but if you don't get results, don't doubt yourself. Say, okay, can I adjust the protocol to meet me where I'm actually at so that I can get some results and maintain them? Or is this too hard? Is this too far outside of my zone? Is it possible that the results that they're getting are because of multiple other factors that I can, if I do a little digging, see that their life doesn't really apply to mine? Can I look to where people are excitingly giving testimonies that might not be true? It might be that placebo effect of it felt really good in the beginning and it felt like approval. Can I take what maybe does work about this and not the rest? Can I recognize when something doesn't work and walk away instead of becoming a repeat customer? We need to be critically thinking all the time. especially when people are using vulnerable shares of their vulnerable life or other people's pain, and really tapping into your pain and promising that they can deliver you from that pain as they're selling. So there's nothing wrong with like connecting with your pain to sell. Like that's right, in the spirituality, self-help, personal growth world, we are selling to people who are in pain. So to say, I have something that will hopefully make your pain feel better is not wrong. But hopefully that promise is reasonable. And the solution that is being offered isn't miraculous healing in 30 days. Or this one thing that will change everything. It's, I have some things that might help you feel better. And like I say, that is always going to be less popular. It's hard to sell that stuff. Like my mystery school is really hard to sell. Because it's not trendy, it's not trending, it's work over time. And it's not quick, and it's very uncomfortable. But it is what it is. And like I say, I'm not coming out with a new thing every year. This is just the thing that it is. These foundational tools over and over and over again. Because this is what will change your life. And there's, like I say, so much building and stacking and depth and complexity, and that's why every month we have a new meeting and it's a totally different thing, and there's 400 lectures in the school, but it's still the same thing. Yeah? Okay. So that's all I wanted to say today. Just really be careful of how you're being manipulated. Okay? Because you deserve to be able to find tools that work and protocols and steps without making yourself feel like you did it wrong if it didn't completely change your whole life. And you deserve to be given realistic expectations of how things are going to work. So real transformation is going to happen because you got a new habit, it supported you, and you built it into your life every day. And it worked and it worked and it worked until you got strong enough to stack something new on top of it. And then, or to go to a more advanced version of it. Or it leads to this awareness, which leads to this step, which leads to this step, which leads to this. That's how it's actually going to work. New normals. Right? Like my totally different life that I have now, I have a totally different routines now than I did before. Same kind of foundations, but everything is more deep and nuanced and complex than it ever was. And it will continue to be that way for the rest of my life. There is no one thing. It's stacking and building habits over time that help us take new steps and build new habits, because it's our habits that make our lives. That's what we have control over. Okay? Okay. So I hope that was helpful. Just be really careful out there. Be really careful out there. People can make anything look like anything, and it doesn't make it true. Vet your people. Try and see if it works, and don't blame yourself if it doesn't. Okay? Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I'll see you later. Bye.